In this video, I'm going to show you how I mixed flash and ambient in this scene of a Japanese alley. This is a Lego book nook I built earlier this year during lockdown in New York. It's inspired by this alley I visited in Tokyo where you can get all kinds of yakitori. A book nook is a miniature world that sits between books on your bookshelf. So I made one out of Lego. It's a great way to display your Lego discreetly. My Lego book nook is only about the width of a large book, or 8 studs wide in Lego jargon. Since I'm going to use my Lego book nook as a photography scene too, I've added plenty of windows and doors so I can shine lights through them. I have a couple of lanterns that I lit up with tiny LEDs that I'm powering with this coin battery. Here's the LED inside the white opaque part of the lantern. It's not very bright at all for photography, but we'll get to that during the shoot. I wanted this scene to look like it's dinner time, and the yakitori stalls that line this alley are open and ready for customers. For the wall where there are clear doors and windows, I'm going to set a flash with a softbox right up against it. The softbox will diffuse and reduce the intensity of the light from the flash. The flash is at its lowest power of 1/128. For the other side, I'm just going to set down a bare flash right behind the white double doors. The doors are opaque, so they will effectively cut down and diffuse the light. To make my environment dark, I turned off the lights and pulled down the blinds on the rooftop windows. Now I can see the lanterns a bit better, but they're too dim at 1/60, my video shutter speed. Since I'm working with ambient light, the lanterns, and flash, the first thing to do is to set the ambient exposure. Here, I'm now in photo mode and I've slowed my shutter to a full second so that the sensor can build up light from those weak lanterns. The lanterns are more visible, but they're not really illuminating anything. So I changed my shutter speed to 2 seconds. I like this because the lanterns are giving off just enough light in the alley. With the ambient exposure set, I can now set my flash exposure. The next step is to set your flash so your subject is properly exposed. This part is easy for the scene because I'm just going to set my flash power to its lowest level, 1/128. I rarely need more than that, so I mostly use modifiers to reduce the flash power. When working with flash, it's important to know you are working with 2 exposures, one for the ambient and one for the flash. Shutter speed doesn't affect flash exposure. Just to compare, here's what it would look like if I didn't slow the shutter down. The lantern light barely shows up on the right, but the flash exposure is the same. Look at the walkway for proof. So I'll say it again, shutter speed doesn't affect flash exposure. The lanterns show up in the 2-second exposure, and the flash is lighting the walkway separately. And finally, to fill the width of the frame with just the alley, I'm going to shoot with my 70mm 2.8 macro lens. The longer focal length allows me to get in tighter. And I've set up the camera vertically to make sure I get most of the scene while not going wide. So here's the final image of a customer entering a yakitori stall for dinner. In the final shot, I threw some fairy lights in the background for some interest. I also added a bit of smoke to give it the atmosphere of a yakitori alley. Here's another where I reposition the flashes and mix them with ambient light to capture raindrops and still see the lantern and fairy lights. So I hope you see how using flash and ambient light can really open up creative opportunities. Just expose for the ambient light first, then add your flash. Thanks for watching this behind the scenes look at shooting with mixed lighting. Before you go, please like and subscribe for more toy photography tips and behind the scenes. This is 4 Bricks Tall. See you next time.